Thanks for joining us. Time now is 11 o'clock. I'm Dana Marie McNichol filling in for Ned Arampur.
I'm Eric Connor. Glad you are with us here on this Wednesday at 11 a.m. We are learning more today about how San Diego Sheriff's detectives identified a woman's body found more than 3 decades ago using something called investigative genetic genealogy.
CBS 8's Kelly Hessedal joins us live from the Sheriff's Technology and Information Center with what she's learned. Hi, Kelly.
That's right. You know, genetic genealogy is something that the Sheriff's Department uses if all other methods of identifying someone have been exhausted. So in this case, they took a strand of the victim's hair. They got a DNA profile and then they entered it into 2 different genealogy websites.
Then we got a genetic similarity between a distant family member. And then the detectives start building a family tree, just like you would if you were doing it for your cousins or relatives.
And that victim was identified as Claudette Powers. And according to Sergeant Tim Chandler, whom you just heard from, detectives eventually got a hold of her younger sister and discovered that her family hadn't heard from her since the early 1980s. So all this time they've been worrying, waiting. Powers was just 24 years old when she died. We're told she had left her husband and 2 children behind in Washington State and moved to the Escondido area in the early 1980s. Now, her body was found in February of 1986 at a campsite area on the Los Coyotes Indian Reservation near Warner Springs. As she reportedly had been dead about 2 weeks, her hands and feet bound. Sergeant Chandler said she had suffered a violent death. And though they are able to give her family a little closure, the second part of this mystery has just begun.
It took 37 years to identify just who she was and solve that mystery, but now we have to reconstruct her whole life. Where she lived, where she worked, who she knew, was she dating anybody, who were her friends, and that's basically, we're just starting with a brand new mystery now as opposed to the one we just solved.
And because so many years have passed, as Sergeant Chandler says, it's really a challenge to find people who knew her, who actually remember her. He also mentioned that a second homicide victim was found in that same general area just weeks later where Claudette Powers' body was found. They haven't identified that male victim yet, but he was around the same age. So they're trying to figure out who he was to see if somehow the 2 cases are connected. So at this point, they have no suspects. They are asking anybody who has information about Powers or exactly what happened to her to contact the Sheriff's Department. Kelly Hessedal, CBS 8.